Hey guys, my name is Derek McCurry and I am the owner of LowPro Mounts, and the goal of this video is to explain how to properly install the aluminum version of the LowPro mount onto your Ruger Mark Series pistol. Please note that this video is specifically for the aluminum version, not the nylon version. There's different torque specs for the different materials. Okay, so you are going to receive with your mount all of the mounting hardware needed to put it on your gun, as well as a T10 Torx key. And then what's not included, but you'll need, is a 3/32 hex key if you have a Picatinny rail to remove it. Of course, you're going to need your compatible red dot, and today we're going to be using a HoloSun 507C, which has an RMR footprint, super popular red dot. I sell them on my website. You're also going to need some isopropyl alcohol, a Q-tip, ideally one with like a pointy tip like this, and then some blue Loctite thread locker. I'm using 242, you can use 243, anything that's a blue removable thread locker. Lastly, while I include a T10 Torx driver, ideally you want to use an actual torque screwdriver that can go down to 10 inch-pounds, because that's the torque spec we're going to be applying to the screws today. But I'm going to show you how to hit around 10 inch-pounds just using the little key that's in here. Okay, so first things first, you want to make sure that firearm is unloaded and clear, which I've just confirmed. And then I'm going to move some of this stuff out of the way and make sure you guys can see this on camera. We're going to use this 3/32 hex driver to remove the Picatinny rail, if you have one. Some models don't have them, others do. All right, so now that we've got the pick rail off, just want to show you the LowPro mount is going to be attached using this threaded hole here and this threaded hole here. And then let me open up the mount itself, show you what it looks like, show you the screws that are included. So mount's really nice, satin finish. And then the screws you're gonna get here are, with the RMR mount, you're gonna have two shorter screws. Sorry. All right, so you've got two shorter screws, two longer screws. These two shorter screws are what you're gonna use to attach the mount to the upper, and then the two longer screws you're gonna attach is what you're gonna use to attach the red dot to the mount itself, right? So I mentioned cleaning out the threaded hole, so let's do that next. So off camera over here, I'm gonna spray some rubbing alcohol, some isopropyl alcohol onto this Q-tip, and I'm gonna clean out these threads. This is important because, especially if you've been using the gun, these threaded holes have a tendency to collect dust and gunk and cleaning fluids. So you just want to make sure that that's cleaned out. And then the mount should be clean, but it doesn't hurt to go ahead and clean out the threaded holes on the mount itself. Okay, now that we've got the holes cleaned out, the next step is to, I like to first attach the red dot to the mount itself. And what we're going to do, again, is use these longer screws. Now, this is important as well. So I provide screws. In this case, for the RMR mount, these are 632 by 8.7 millimeter long screws. And they are the perfect length. They are the perfect length for HoloSun RMR red dots. So if you can see here, this screw is perfectly flush, almost perfectly flush with the bottom of the mount. And then same here, What you don't want to have happen is you don't want the screw to protrude past this point. Otherwise, it's going to run into your upper, right? So if the screws are too long, you're going to want to use the shorter screws that came with your red dot, number 632 screws. If the screws are too short, then you're going to want to use longer screws that came with your red dot. One other thing I want to show you. How can you tell if the screws are going to be too long or too short? I should have showed you this first, but basically, drop one of the screws in through the threaded hole, through the hole in the red dot, turn it over, and see how far it protrudes out of the bottom. So you should count about 4 threads. You want at least 3 to 4 threads of engagement. If you've got some random red dot model that has like a much thicker base and you only count, say, like 1 or 2 threads, that's not long enough. You're going to need to use the longer screws that came with your red dot, and you're going to target ideally 4 threads of engagement. That'll give you enough hold to keep it securely attached to the mount. Okay, so now let's actually install the red dot on the mount here. So let's move the shorter screws back here. All right, so open up our blue thread locker. The easiest way to do this is to place the dot on the mount. Go ahead and kind of get your screw put on the head of the T10 Torx key. And then apply a small amount of blue thread locker to the threads. And what I like to do is don't worry about torquing the screws down just yet. Just get them snugged up. Just get them, loosely tightened. And then we'll come back and torque them down in a minute. All right, so now that you've got your red dot attached to your LowPro mount, we're gonna put the LowPro mount on the firearm. All right, so same deal. Take your shorter screws. These are the perfect length. You don't need to use any other screws. These are 648 by 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch screws. And then we're just gonna barely snug it down. Oh, this is important. So these screws are the perfect length. Sorry, are the right size for. Shoot, that was too much. So let me dab some of this thread locker off. That looks good. These screws are the right size for OEM Ruger uppers. If you have a Taxol Packlight upper, they use a different thread pitch. They use 640 threads. So if you've got a Taxol upper and you didn't order the correct screws when you're checking out, reach out to me and I'll get you set up with the right ones. But do not use 648 screws on your Taxol upper because you'll strip out the holes. But if you got a Ruger Mark IV upper or Ruger series upper, don't worry about it. Okay, so now is the point where if you have a Torx screwdriver like this, and I'll provide the link to this one in the video description. They're like 50, 60 bucks on Amazon. You'll use them for other things, so I highly recommend you grab one. But you're gonna wanna set it to 10 inch-pounds of torque, and then you'll know for sure that your screws are all torqued down properly. If you don't have one of those, you can still use the provided T10 Torx key. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to first grab the small end of the Torx key, right? So that you can't apply that much torque. Snug them all down. Snug them all down as tight as I can with my fingertips. All right. And then the last part is we're gonna come back and I'm gonna grab the long end and I'm just gonna cinch it maybe like, I'm just gonna snug it up a little bit, like a 1/16 of a rotation. And that should hit right around the 10 inch-pound torque spec. Boom, and then there you got it. So this, you're gonna wanna let this dry overnight or 24 hours. You want that blue Loctite to fully cure before you take your gun to the shooting range to zero your red dot. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to leave them in the comments on this video or reach out to me at Derek@LowProMounts.com and I'll help you out. Thanks for watching. One more thing. So let me kind of just prove that what I just did is roughly 10 inch-pounds. So I've got my torque screwdriver set to 10 inch-pounds, and then I am going to torque this down until it beeps. And it did move a little bit more, but it was pretty dang close. Boom. Yeah, that was already right at 10 inch-pounds. 10 inch-pounds. 10 inch-pounds. I would always err on the side of caution, especially if you have one of these aluminum uppers on the 2245 Lite models, because the aluminum threads are softer than steel threads. So you run the risk of stripping or pulling out your threads if you over torque the screw. So definitely don't want to do that. But yeah, hopefully that's helpful. Thanks for watching.